Good morning, I'm Kara Rucker. It's Monday, March 10th, and these are your Unbiased Updates. Canada has a new Prime Minister. The promises he's making to his people when it comes to dealing with the Trump administration. And Israel is putting more pressure on Hamas to extend phase 1 of the ceasefire deal by effectively cutting off Palestinians' clean water supply.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world, these are today's Unbiased Updates.
As tensions remain between Canada and the U.S. over tariffs and trade this morning, Canada's replacement for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has been elected by the nation's governing Liberal Party. Former central banker Mark Carney will become the country's next Prime Minister, at least until elections are held later this year. Carney will replace Trudeau, who announced his resignation in January after nearly a decade in the role. While Carney will take over as the leader of Canada's Liberal Party immediately, Trudeau will continue to serve as Prime Minister until Carney is officially sworn in. When that will happen has not yet been announced. Carney, the former governor of the Canadian Central Bank and Bank of England, beat three rivals in the Liberal Party's leadership contest in a landslide with nearly 86% of the vote. In his acceptance speech, he vowed to keep retaliatory tariffs against the U.S. in place, saying he will win the trade war with President Trump and will fight off Trump's push to make Canada America's 51st state.
My government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy, to create new trading relationships with reliable trading partners, and to secure our borders. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect. We didn't ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
Carney is now expected to lead the Liberal Party into Canada's next federal elections, which must be held before October, but could be called as early as next month. Carney is likely to face stiff competition from Pierre Poilievre, Canada's Conservative Party leader, who is currently leading in the polls. The U.S. will use a high-level meeting in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday to gauge Ukraine's willingness to negotiate an end to the war with Russia. That's according to U.S. officials who spoke with Reuters ahead of the delegation. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff will meet with Ukrainian officials. President Zelensky will not be present, but he is sending other high-level diplomats, including his chief of staff. This comes amid tensions between Presidents Trump and Zelensky after their prior meeting in the Oval Office didn't go as planned. Trump has recently cut off weapons shipments and limited intelligence sharing with Kyiv. U.S. officials say they want to see if Ukraine is open to a realistic peace deal. Ahead of the talks, Zelensky says Ukraine is fully committed to further dialogue. Writing on X over the weekend, realistic proposals are on the table. The key is to move quickly and effectively. In the Middle East, Israel has now cut off the electricity supply to the last facility in Gaza that was still receiving power from the Israel Electric Corporation. Israel's energy minister saying over the weekend every tool at their disposal will be used to ensure the return of all Israeli hostages from Hamas's captivity. Israel cut off electricity to the majority of Gaza in the early stages of the war. Since then, Hamas and Gazans have relied on generators and solar power for electricity. However, this latest power shutoff does impact a wastewater treatment facility, which could impact drinking water for part of Gaza. Hamas called the move part of Israel's, quote, starvation policy. It comes as Israel is pressing the militant group to accept an extension of the first phase of their ceasefire, which ended last weekend. Israel wants Hamas to release half of the remaining hostages in return for a promise to negotiate a lasting truce. Hamas, however, wants to start negotiations on the ceasefire's second phase, which would see the release of remaining hostages from Gaza, the withdrawal of Israeli forces, and a lasting peace. Israeli negotiators are due in Doha today as mediators from Egypt, Qatar, and the United States try to revive the ceasefire deal. Syria's interim president is calling for peace and calm as the country sees its worst violence in months. President Ahmed al-Shara vowed on Sunday to hunt down those who started the violent clashes that have pit loyalists of deposed President Bashar al-Assad against the country's new Islamist rulers. The 2 days of violent clashes, according to at least one war monitoring group, have already killed over 1,000 people, most of them civilian. This recent conflict began after the pro-Assad fighters coordinated attacks on security forces last Thursday, making it one of the deadliest periods in Syria's over-decade-long violence. A Palestinian activist who largely led Columbia University's mass protests against Israel has been arrested by federal immigration agents. Mahmoud Khalil, a graduate student until this past December, was taken into custody Saturday night at his Manhattan apartment. Khalil's attorney confirmed he's here as a permanent resident on a green card. The attorney confirming ICE agents are revoking his green card status. Homeland Security confirmed the arrest, linking it to President Trump's executive orders against anti-Semitism. Secretary of State Marco Rubio reposting on X Sunday evening a link about Khalil's arrest with the caption, "We will be revoking the visas and/or green cards of Hamas supporters in America so they can be deported." Meanwhile, Columbia University faces major financial repercussions from the Trump administration as well, the school losing roughly $400 million in federal funding over what the government calls non-compliance with anti-discrimination laws. Interim President Katrina Armstrong acknowledged the government's legitimate concerns and pledged to combat anti-Semitism on campus. Federal officials say Jewish students have faced harassment on campus since the October 7th attack. The funding cuts will impact research, students, and patient care across the university, with Armstrong saying the cuts will be felt in nearly every corner of the university. Finally this morning, baby eagle number 3 is here. Days after the first 2 eaglets hatched, a beloved bald eagle family in Southern California has welcomed its 3rd new member. Chick 3, as it's being called for now, hatched in the wee hours of Saturday morning, a moment people all over the world had been waiting for after the nonprofit Friends of Big Bear Valley's 24/7 live camera went viral a couple weeks ago. The successful hatch of all 3 eaglets is a big deal for their celebrity parents, Shadow and Jackie, who rose to fame in 2023 with their last nest of 2 eggs, which did not hatch successfully. Friends of Big Bear Valley say all 3 chicks are healthy, eating a lot, and growing quickly. These are your unbiased updates for this Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.